From Ticker News, right now, the global view. This is Ticker News Insight.
Hello and welcome back to Ticker News Insight, where we are looking to focus on the best of business and get some stories from people from all around the world. I'm your host, Mike Loder, and to my latest story for the moment, and Lisa Benson is a self-diagnosed recovering perfectionist who spent 5 years writing her first book. Where have I been all my life? She's here to unmuddy some of the bits and pieces around perfectionism that some of us might carry with us day to day. It's good to see you, Lisa. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to see you. So why do you believe more people should be sitting down, writing their stories and try to unpack a few things?
Well, I believe it's a beautiful way to connect us with each other. I think it makes us feel less alone, and it's actually, especially if you're writing a story like mine, which is very vulnerable and expresses a lot of, shames and mistakes and all that kind of thing. So for a perfectionist, this is really difficult to expose, I suppose. So when other people read our stories and think, well, if they've done these things and I'm not a failure, or I'm not as alone as I thought I was. So I think it's a beautiful way to connect us. And I also believe it's cathartic for ourselves. It's very therapeutic, and it's like journaling, I suppose, where we get our thoughts onto paper and out of our head. And in some cultures, they even, instead of going to a doctor, to get medicine, they say, when did you last hear, tell your story? Because there are so many healing benefits of sharing our stories.
Yeah, there's something really potent about that. So you've overcome perfectionism, as I understand it, in life. And how did it hold you back? Can you provide some examples of how being a perfectionist was actually perhaps more damaging than a safety net?
Yes. It certainly is, and still, obviously, it's a forever journey because we are who we are. But in my book, I do explain in great detail the repercussions. But two of the main things to talk about today are, it is a time waster. Basically, perfectionists are trying to present a version of themselves that they think will be accepted and that they'll get approval from other people. But it's so much easier just to be ourselves. So it's really wasting a lot of time. And that it's also, I believe for myself anyway, I can only speak from my own experience, it's procrastination. We procrastinate by not wanting to finish anything because we're afraid to be judged. So it's sort of not only waste time, as I said, but it keeps us stuck in the moment and doesn't move us forward.
Absolutely, and high five, I'm guilty of all of those things when it comes to creative projects and filmmaking and all this sort of thing. I'm very much picking up what you're putting down, but this has been a work in progress for 5 years. Tell us a little bit about how it feels to have the goal achieved. What is that like, Lisa?
It's amazing, and yes, it has been a long journey, but I'm feeling lots of emotions, different contradictory emotions simultaneously. So obviously I feel a sense of accomplishment after such a long time, and I'm relieved because although it is cathartic, as I said, it's also a painful experience to go through all these things over and over again. So it's also excited, I'm very excited to share the story finally and to hear what other people actually think about what I've been promising for so long. And overriding feeling is proud. I'm absolutely proud of myself. And one of the messages that I want to put across in my book is internal gratification. And I think it's lovely to have other people be proud of us, but it's so important that we are proud of ourselves. So I think that's an important one.
Yeah, again, as someone with those voices in your head, there's a critical thinking thoughts that say I'm not enough, etc., etc. It's really inspiring to hear your story, Lisa. So let's talk about advice. Have you got advice for anyone who has had to, the call to write a story or to produce a piece of art or, but perhaps are just stuck by that perfectionist voice in their head? What advice would you give them?
Absolutely. I would just say, why not, and go for it. Life's too short. And I've had all those voices saying all those things to me as well. But I had a very strong calling to finish what I started. And I've had this goal for decades. So it is a long, long journey, but I would say be patient. Just put your thoughts down and just start, because you don't know where you're going to end up. And also just to accept constructive criticism, and don't take it personally, because it takes so many people to help write a book. You have editors and proofreaders and people giving feedback, so you have to get used to not taking offense to that kind of thing. And also, one great piece of advice that I got was that if you are not connected to yourself, you can't connect to your readers. So sometimes it is a journey, and you have to do a lot of healing and learning along the way as well. It's not just, I'm ready to write a book, so here it is. There's lots of hiccups along the way.
Hey Lisa, thank you so much for joining us on the program. There's sort of a calmness that's washed over me about certain projects now that I've spoken to you. So I really appreciate your time
Excellent.
and sharing your story with our audience.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
And of course, thank you to all of you for tuning in. I've been your host, Mike Loder. I hope you learned something from that one. Please head to tickernews.co for breaking news from around the world. I'm going to go have a think. See you soon.